Good afternoon and welcome on Laula TV to watch the final of this Champéry Masters of Curling. It's a World Champions Curling Curling Champions Tour event, and today we have the final between the Swiss team of Peter DeCruz and the Swedish team of Marcus Hasselborg. Marcus Hasselborg having quite a lot of international experience, having played 3 World Junior Curling Championships and having lost actually 3 times the final, 3 silver medals, and played 1 World Curling Championship. And so now they beat Team Vertheman in the semifinal of this tournament, and now are facing the other Swiss team that was in those semifinals, Team DeCruz that we saw just before, who beat Rasmus Stjerne from Denmark. With actually both teams won their game in the exact same way. They were tied up without the last rock in the last end, and both opponent skips just threw their last rock just a little bit too far, allowing them to squeeze into the final. So now once again, like usual in all those finals, we expect a very high level game. The players know the ice, know the stones, and they have played all those games to get there, so they will really want to win the first prize here in this tournament. It's actually, I think, a prize money of 14,000 francs. The losers, let's get 7,000 francs. So once again, I think the team's just testing each other out by playing open and defensive. The Swedish team has the last rock in the first end. So it's already Benoit Schwartz's turn to play his last rock. His last rocks. Just drawing the house. Maybe hoping for a little mistake from Marcus Hasselborg. Just try and hit and stay. If he makes this, then Benoit will hit and stay himself and let the Swedish blank the first end. Very low slide from the Swedes.
Lite hård. Det blir perfekt på en 8-2. Det är lätt spela den där isen på en trilja. Hålla den på chappen. Stänka igenom. Det är väl det där fallet från väggen som är allt. Ja. Innan eller? Ja.
And finally, the Swedish team blanks the first end. So score is still 0-0, and we're going to be starting the second end. The Swiss team still starting the end so they don't have the last rock. Now that they've played one end very defensively, once again you can expect them to try and be a little bit more aggressive now. I wonder if Peter's going to ask Valentin to play a guard in front of the house, or just draw inside. Yeah, he's asking for a guard. So we're trying to create a bit of offense here. Like usual, when you don't have the last rock, you want to try and force your opponent to score only one. If maybe you have a chance to steal, you can take it. But you don't play for that. You don't play for the steal. You play to force. And, well, Marcus Hasselborg, who has the choice either to put a rock in the as a corner guard or just draw behind, and he decides for the, let's say, most open game tactic by just placing the first rock behind the center guard in the control zone. This is very, very fast. Wonder if it's going to stay in the rings. Peter sweeping it as hard as he can. So they needed to sweep that rock to get it past the guard, and finally it just skins by, but there's a really big swing on that ice. Just sticks out the other side, allowing Marcus Hasselborg to play the little, I suppose, gonna give him a light takeout weight. This is Anton Sandström. Lead for the Swedish team. And now Dominic Markey playing second for this team. The new player for this year. Last year they were playing with the man from Neuchâtel, Gilles Vuille. And now this year Dominic Markey from Bern is replacing them.
Jättemycket plats. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, måste eka.
So after hitting and rolling out, it's again the Sweden's turn to try and draw behind that center guard. They're going to try like place the rock exactly where Marcus Hasselborg was showing. Top of the forefoot behind the guard into the control zone.
85.
Now Peter asking for a peel weight to try and run back the guard onto the yellow. If they can make that shot perfectly, they can remain with the center guard and rock behind it. Of course, that's in the best case scenario. It looks close. Well, he gets the run back, but sadly for him, the red rock doesn't stay in play. Anyway, it's very, I mean, you have to be very, very precise for that, and the chances that the rock you hit, that you run back rolls out itself. Main objective, of course, being to remove this very dangerous yellow rock that now the Swedish are going to try and replace.
Är det 74?
Ja, det är så.
Gissel.
Jag tänker från förra matchen nu.
Ja.
Och hur vi kände där i början.
Ja.
När vi kom tillbaka och hittade farterna.
Ja. Vi får
Precis samma grej.
Now Peter will try and draw himself again behind the center guard. They're in a pretty good position now, especially if he can manage to make that shot perfectly. Maybe exactly the same way as Andreas Pritz did before. Line is good, apparently. Just a question of speed. It looks just a little bit fast. Has to be in front of the tee line. Actually, I think the weight seems to be quite good. Last little sweep to get it nice behind the guard. It's just a little bit open, but still it's a bit more than half buried. It's pretty difficult to remove it and stay in play. Peter Folke, playing third for Marcus Hasselborg, has to come with a backline weight. Pretty close and good shot.
Sorry. Bra liv.
Lite plus va?
Now the idea is to make the hidden roll behind the guard. They swept it to try and roll as far as they can, probably when they saw that the rock was a little bit too wide.
Okay.
Just try and roll a bit to the side to make the hit
Ja,
and roll
normalt.
for the Swedish as
Ja.
hard as possible.
Normalt.
Ja. Nia!
Ja! Ja! Håll! Håll där! Kör, kör, kör!
You can hear the sweepers, their effort, trying to breathe as they can. Sweeping is the physically most difficult aspect of the game. To have the most efficient sweeping, you need to combine the speed and the pressure on the brush. To try and have the most effect you can on the rock. Finally, Benoit Schwartz rolls out sadly with that shot. I think he wanted to stay in to try and force Hasselborg to hit and avoid leaving him the draw behind the guard. That can allow him now to score 2 under.
Det brinner ju där, så jag tror att
I think Marcus Hasselborg really has to focus on being in front of the tee line. If ever he remains behind the tee line, he can allow Benoit to freeze on his own rock and cutting him down to 1, even giving Benoit a good chance to steal.
98. 10.
Bra linje. Ja, bra fart.
Bra.
Det här är killar. Bra linje.
Ja,
det här
ligger
är
där. Kan behöva ta lite, helst inte.
Kolla.
Oh.
Perfekt linje. Det här är killar.
Ja, den räcker långt. 10.
Är den bakom så är det bara dra.
Ja, den är bakom.
Då. Då köra. Kör. Göm den lite också.
Kör du.
So they try and
Hårt.
bring it as far as they can behind. And now I think finally Benoit is just going to go for a backline weight. Just make sure it comes T-line. He's a little bit fast on that one. It has to curl a lot.
Samma is.
I think it's just going to blow it by. Yeah, well, I think Benoit threw the rock just a little bit too hard. So in the end, the shot from Hasselborg paid off. Forced Benoit to play a more complicated shot, and well, even though it's quite a big miss for him, knowing him, he's not used to blowing rocks by that much. Finally, they get that draw for a 2. So, well, shows you can score 2 by just playing reasonably open. One guard can be enough. Finally, well, 1 miss from Benoit, and there's the 2. Fourth player always has a lot of pressure on his shoulders because nobody plays behind him to catch up his mistakes. As you see, his last rock was a failure, and nobody behind to try and catch up. So mistakes of the fourth are always on the scoreboard, and we had a perfect sample here. So we hope that he's going to come back in the game nice and stronger, try and catch up for this mistake. And we know that his team is going to be behind him to support him. It's always very important. I mean, if you miss a few shots, if you're not totally in confidence, the team has to be behind you. Sometimes unexperienced teams are sometimes get angry at each other because people miss, and that's totally the wrong attitude to have. And those teams are well trained to know that getting mad at each other because of a miss is not a right option. And so we have to stick together and keep going forward.
Kör en frys här nere då.
Ja.
Marginaldraget eller?
Vad sa du?
Marginaldraget.
Ja, exakt.
Ligger bra.
10 bara.
Ja, ser rätt bra ut.
Knapp
Ligger
emot.
bra.
Bra linje grabbar.
Bra linje.
Tajt! Ja!
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 Järnet!
Finally, the Swedes actually having a pretty bad results on their last rock. Instead of coming behind the guard as they wanted to, they split those 2 rocks into 2 corner guards, which will be more useful to Peter than to them. Unfortunately for them, Valentin once again is a little bit slow on his rock, and despite the hard sweeping, he didn't manage to get into the house. I think the rock didn't have much chance going in. It was way, way too short. Maybe they were just playing on a side of the ice that they haven't played yet. Sometimes players can get tricked.
Lite dämpad.
Etta! Nej, det är bra.
Ja!
Ja.
Hårt på vägen in.
Håll i! Håll i!
And the Swedes taking no risk. Just removing the Swiss rock in the house. But rolling out. Anyway, I think that staying, if he had stayed or not, Peter would have asked for the draw behind one of those guards. He chooses to go to the left, to the right, sorry. This rock from Dominic Marquis is not going to curl enough and just it's going to go through the house. A lot of imprecisions. Maybe the result of fatigue after playing 7 games in one weekend. This is the 8th game. It is quite a lot. And despite the time change, this is we had the game at 8 o'clock this morning, so early wake. And it's the 3rd game, so in a row. It's always very important to be nice and fit when you play curling, so that you can keep up physically after all those games and all that effort. It's not only physical strength, but you need mental strength. You get mentally very, very tired. It's good to teams always have their plans between games, how they're going to rest and get some energy back. Once again, the rock just slides through the house. 2 missed draws from Dominic Marquis. Who's not very pleased again. There were 2 chances to come behind the corner guards and in the same area actually, and 2 times a little bit too fast. Well, this time the sweepers had to sweep it for the line. Actually, well, it's not entirely his fault, but I mean, sweepers didn't have the choice. They had to sweep it, otherwise it would have hit the guard. As you know, when you sweep, the rocks curl a little bit less. but also go a little bit further. And so sometimes you get those very annoying situations where you absolutely have to sweep for the line, but the speed is a little bit too fast. That's when the communication comes in very handy. Sometimes maybe if you see the rock is going to go through the house, you just stop sweeping it, let it hit the guard. At least it's going to stay in play. But maybe that the sweepers didn't expect that rock to go out. But anyway, they still have a guard again. And they can keep trying to draw behind it. One guard is enough to score two. That rock just doesn't curl enough, maybe a little bit too much ice. Despite the hard sweeping at the end to keep the rock going so that it will swing a little bit more at the end. It didn't manage to hide it behind the corner guard. Marcus Hasselborg will probably ask for the hit and roll on the side. He doesn't want to end up behind the guard. That would give Peter a good chance to freeze on it and be in a good position. Now if they maybe come with a backline weight, they can maybe just bump the yellow rock out of play and roll themselves behind the corner guard, which is a corner center guard. It's in front of the forefoot. Seems pretty close. I think that he just rolled a little bit too far, but actually the fact this yellow rock is still in play is a big advantage for the Swiss team. There's a big chance for a jam. So tricky shot now for Marcus Hasselborg, who has to try and remove that red rock without being just a little bit too wide and sending that red rock onto the yellow or to the other red on the side at the bottom of your screen. You can see it. Very tricky shot. Big risk, actually, I'd say there. Anyway, good shot from Peter. You always want to try and force your opponent to play those kinds of difficult and tricky shots. Marcus Hasselborg will want to try and hit that rock as much in the set on the nose as he can. Control leg takeout. Oh, he just rubs off the guard. That's a pretty bad miss, actually, from the Swedes, who don't even remove the guard. Just leave it in play, allowing Peter once again to come and draw behind it. The possibility for a jam is still there. You can hear that Marcus Hasselborg is quite disappointed with his shot. Important shot for Benoit. Hartley once again miss after a miss. This was not putting enough pressure on their Swedish opponents, allowing them to retry the shot they just missed before.
Samma fart!
Rent! Ja! Rent! Ja!
Ja, bra Lisa.
A good shot. Here's Hasselborg, who this time doesn't miss the opportunity. Force Team DeCruz to score one. Benoit throwing for the trophy behind him. The trophy they lifted last year. This Team DeCruz is the defending champion of this tournament, back in the final with a chance to win this title again.
Ja, bra grabbar. Bra.
Löser fortfarande eller?
Det blir lite snett ibland. Kör en till. Vi kör ner. Jag ser
Now you can see that
det som är den här också.
both teams are seeing each other in between the ends, like usual, discussing about what's not right, what's wrong, what they can do better, what their tactic is going to be. Probably expect them to play a center guard to start the end. They're down 2-1, Swiss team, Peter DeCruz, against Marcus Hasselborg from Sweden. They don't have the last rock in the fourth end, so a bit of a difficult situation for them now because they're down one without the last rock in the even ends. So I think that if ever they can just try and force their opponent to score only one, or even maybe take their chances to steal a point now would be probably a good idea. That's why they start with a center guard. And Hasselborg, who has the last rock in the even ends, decides to take a little bit more risk by putting a corner guard. If he can score two now, he would put the Swiss in a very, very difficult position.
Bra fart! Ja, bra linje
Of course, I think once
Kolla upp, kolla upp.
Det bästa bra.
Anton Sandström places
Håll bara rent. Wow. Nej,
his
men
corner guard,
wow.
then Peter will ask Valentin to draw behind the center guard and take the control of the control zone in front of the forfeit circle and in front of the tee line to try and drag the game to the center. It's always your idea when you don't have the last rock, try and keep it in the middle, keep it jammed, keep it difficult for your opponent. and precision in this end. Finally, Peter asking Dominic to draw in behind the center guard. Looks like this rock picked something. Started turning and curling a lot suddenly, and the sweepers just gave up on it. Sometimes there can be little bits of dirt in the ice, and if a rock ever slides on one of those little pieces of dirt, then you can lose total control of the trajectory of the rock. And it's part of the game. I mean, you can't avoid all of them, but players tend to always try and sweep a bit on the ice and usually keep their brooms in front of the rock on the ice, just without sweeping the rock really, but just to clean in front to avoid those little pieces of dirt. Nice shot there from the Swedes. Wanted to get rid of one of those guards and roll in the house, which they managed to do. That yellow rock, you can't see very well on that screen, but it's actually a biter in the house. As you know, if you want to score points in curling, you don't only have to be fully inside the house, just touching it is enough. So this yellow just biting in the house is actually shot rock. Sadly, Dominic Marquis' rock shooter just rolled a little bit too far into the right. Didn't stay between either guards.
Nej, det vill jag inte.
Nolla! Bara rent, bara rent. Etta, nolla.
Åtta plats. Upp.
Nolla.
Upp. Det du får, Anton, om du får. Anton, du får lite. Kom igen.
Bra.
Bra.
Once again, the Swedes also tried to hit and roll, but didn't manage to get behind the guards. Now Peter will try himself to go behind. Reminding you that Hasselborg has the last rock, and he's got good corner guards to maybe try and score two, but right now he's got the lead and is taking no risk, but he's also under the menace of that center guard here who can be useful to Peter and his team. Maybe try and bury one in the forefoot behind that center guard and maybe try and steal a point. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, you can write it live at curlingchampionstore.org. We're going to be watching the emails and we can answer you live on laula1.tv. You're now watching the Curling Masters in Champéry, Switzerland. It's the Curling Champions Tour event, and I'm Roger Goldcup.
Lite mer hela. Okej. Samma fart som andra. Vad är nolla? Ja, var det så väl? Ja, börjar inte hem. Det är tvåa då.
Peter Folke.
Nej. Upp, helt upp. Upp. Andra med fritt. Nej. Bra Peter.
And I'm now joined by Mark Callan,
Det ser bra ut.
who's the Iceman of this ring. So hi Mike, nice to see you again.
Mark, yeah.
Mark, sorry. Oh my goodness.
You're getting good at that.
I've got a terrible memory for names, so.
Yeah, me too, Fred.
Okay.
So it's it's good to be back.
Yeah. Teams are always trying to do the hits and rolls, trying to get behind those guards, and yet haven't managed to get as well as they wanted it. Once again, the sweeper's not touching that rock at all. Actually hit the wrong side of this yellow. Roll a little bit outside.
Ni med nu, men vi måste vicka på den nu. Tycker vi runda.
Maybe now, yeah. Hasselborg will go for the draw. Seems like the red rock is just biting the house, but he's not too worried about it anymore.
Ja, men alltså det är så lite marginal på den. Vickar du hit tappar vi tempo, chappar du tappar vi tempo, tappar vi tempo. Jag tycker draget är inte helt lätt heller. Det är alltså, man måste ju runda den som ligger precis före bord. Och det kommer jag på 10 i döden, liksom kan det bara frysa på. Okej, så här.
Oh, finally. Change his mind.
De rundar säkert, vi gör det, men då har vi chans att ta 2 i alla fall.
A little bit of discussion there with the team, and decides that the hit and roll is the shot to play here. If it's executed well, it could leave him in a very strong position.
Yeah.
Trea. Lite hårdare.
Well, with the guards the way they are, I mean, he's got quite a big margin to roll. I mean, he can roll between either of them. It finally just stays in the hole. Now it's Benoit's turn to show what he can do.
Yeah. Looking at hitting and rolling as well. Trying to use the red central guard as cover. Sweeper's just staying with it, keeping it clean. It's a hit. Oh, but not a roll.
Yeah, I think it just curled so much at the end that it came with an angle onto the yellow rock and finally didn't roll at all to the side.
Yeah.
Sally for Benoit looked really close though.
It certainly did. And so the same shot looking like being attempted by Hasselborg, only he's coming at it on the other hand.
Yeah.
Looking at the hit and the roll. Very positive release there. Sweepers are working it hard. And I think he's just turned it in a little. He has.
Oh. Once again, Marcus Hasselborg just a bit inside and just taking the guard. Well, both options here are either to guard their shot or maybe just draw another one in the house behind the two corner guards on the right. Seems like Peter didn't even consider that option. It's just going for the guard. will make, if he places the guard right, then I think Hasselborg will have trouble to find an easy way to get the shot rock with a draw. Ideal would be to totally hide this rock so that Hasselborg cannot play a peel on him.
Sweeper's leaving this one alone. Seems to be coming in rather quickly. It's in as a second shot, but it's a little bit over-curled.
Well, the advantage of just touching the house is that it forces Hasselborg to do the hit and stay. So that's the good point with that shot, even though it doesn't hide the rock totally.
Do you think you can see sufficient amount of that to hit and stick?
I think so, yeah. The way it curls and the way we saw Benoit's rock before, I think by coming with a hack weight or even just backline, I mean.
Sure. He just really has to make contact and then hang about. That's all he needs to do.
It'd be good if he could score now for him, because he has the last rocks in the even ends, which means that if things keep going the way they are, then we'll have the last rock in the 8th end.
Yeah, but as we saw in the semi-final, having a last rock in the 8th end isn't always a guarantee of winning the game.
Oh no, indeed. But at least it gives you the chance.
That's for sure.
To control your own fate. It's a bit wide actually on that one.
Looks a little bit wide. It's coming hard now, but it's not going to connect enough, I don't think.
Oh,
is it?
No, it is.
It is. Well,
yeah, I think he just came with the right weight there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
just
judged.
A little bit more than T-line.
Yeah.
Good control there from the Swedes. Yeah, he didn't need much more weight.
No, for sure. I think it was pretty much spot on with the weight. And obviously they judged the line to perfection. But they were quite comfortable with it. There's a kind of little bit of deceptive attitude there. The Swedes were really standing way back from the stone, and you're thinking maybe this is a little bit too heavy, a little bit too wide, but they obviously felt pretty comfortable with it. And the result speaks for itself. 1 to Hasselborg. So we're into the 5th end. You can see the scoreboard there. Hasselborg 3, DeCruz 1. So DeCruz now has to really start to attack and try to get back into this game as quickly as possible.
Yep. Well, once again, he has the last rock, and so the chance to score 2. Try and tie this game up.
Yeah. It's not a big lead, but DeCruz can't afford to lose a steal against him here. He's got to be driving this game now. Once again, as you can see behind the top of the scoreboard, the time clocks, which are being used in this final to control the length of time it's taking. Each team is allowed a maximum of 59 minutes. It operates very similarly, as we discussed in an earlier game, if you were with us, like a chess clock. So when it's your turn, your clock runs. When it's your opponent's turn, their clock runs. But you've got to complete the game within the 59 minutes allowed.
Inte hela världen om den glider in. Bra linje.
Nära.
Bra linje.
Don't forget to write all your questions and comments at our email address, live@curlingchampionster.org.
Har ni fart hit så är det bra linje.
We'll answer live on Laula1.tv.
Indeed.
Wow. Bra. Fin sten, Anton. Skitbra satt på den här också.
Tack.
inte att dubbla dem där riktigt på något bra sätt.
Email appeared on our screen here from Sandy Morden in Scotland. Hi Sandy, good to see you're with us. Sorry you seem to be having a little bit of a technical issue at your end with a little bit more buffering. And I hope it's not spoiling your enjoyment of the game. And I hope you've tuned back in here for the final. But thank you very much for sending us your comments, it's appreciated.
With the 2-point lead, just playing defensive.
Andreas Pritz here.
Ja. Ja, kom igen. Ja, kom igen. Ja. Ja. Kom igen.
Trying to pull this away.
Lite till.
Fan, han böjde sist. Ja, det är bra.
Well, it's not covering much of the house.
This arena is a 30-meter wide hockey pad, so we've been comfortably able to fit 6 lanes into it and keep the size to very, very close to 5 meters. So,
yep. We were talking yesterday with Mario Freiberger's lead, Rainer Kobler, who was telling us that the sheets were quite wide.
Yeah.
In this rink, are they actually a regular 5 meter wide? Yeah,
they are. The World Curling Federation rules allows for rinks up to 5 meters wide, and we are 5 meters wide, almost exactly. Yeah, a little bit of takeoff for the foam, but the foam's only 8 centimeters across the 30 meters, so we're kind of running very, very close to 5 meters.
Yeah.
So, which is within regulation. You can go 5 meters is the kind of maximum width allowed, but you can come less depending on the space you have available. And we've seen rinks down as low as 4.6 and this kind of thing. 4.75 used to be the kind of regular standard, but with the technology and the fact you can produce extremely flat and consistent ice and have aggressive stones, then a 5 meter wide lane is a benefit for playing shots around the outside.
Yeah, and yesterday Rainer Kolber was saying that also the fact it's a bit wider makes the soft peeling a bit easier.
Yeah. Indeed.
So,
if you've got more room to work with, then that makes life easier for sure.
Yeah.
So this one's
hard sweeping needed. Get that rock past the guard and in the house.
Yep.
Perfectly buried. It's a very nice shot from Dominic Markey, and the crowd is applauding.
Huvudet på inhand.
A small but appreciative crowd, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Quite knowledgeable here, right into the curling. I appreciate the facility they have. Interesting to note that the population of Champéry is in the summer season is around 1,000 people, and in the winter season the area can swell to somewhere in the region of 50,000 people. So it's a very popular area for winter sports and winter recreation activities, and the Palladium here in Champéry it plays a big part in attracting tourists.
Champéry is actually a really nice little village up in the mountain with a very, very big skiing domain. Skiing resort. That's the right English.
Speaking one of the organizing committee, they're talking about we had a fairly serious snowfall here yesterday and overnight, so the place is looking very picturesque with the snow, but the snow has come very early, and they were predicting a pretty harsh and long winter.
Thanks,
So with snow falling and the amount of snow falling that we had, or the snowfall we've had in October, it's quite early for them here. So it could be a hard winter, which means very good for the ski people, very good for the ski season and the hotels.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to having a nice ski season here.
Just brushing
Jag
the
hänger
guard.
precis den här.
Sits out front, just on
Tycker
top of the
chappen är
12
ganska
foot.
bra.
De kommer nästan behöva slå bort vår alltså.
Just the
sa du?
blue circle.
Vi Chappan måste nästan slå bort vår.
Typ. Eller så får han runda på innan som är lite rak.
Ja, vi tar Chappen alltså. Vi
Ja,
kan skjuta
kör
på
chappen.
regeln.
Skulle du vicka in i bot är det inte hela världen.
Ja.
Höft.
Ja.
Japp! Nolla!
Etta.
Nolla!
Lite plus.
Sweeper's called off.
Saying
a little wide.
Too much weight.
Yeah, it's a hit and roll. Just drift.
And now another chance to draw for Peter DeCruz.
Yes, 6-7. 6-7. Ouais, toute seule, je crois.
Looks like the weight is good enough. It's a question of line. Might just curl enough to be hidden. It is hidden, but once again it's behind the tee line. Not the best shot for Peter DeCruz. It's a little bit slow on his first shot and
A little bit heavy in the second.
yep.
Yeah.
But in the end, Hasselborg will just take that rock out.
Hack.
Japp, järnet, stenhårt.
Wait. Once again, is he inside? And it seems like they gave up on that rock.
Certainly have.
Maybe trying to get the run back.
Plan
He
B.
actually don't even get. Over curled a little bit too much. Yeah, poor shot once again.
Yep.
Marcus Hasselborg having good, nice tendency to be inside on all his first shots and making all his second shots perfectly. So now we'll see where Benoit will manage to put enough pressure on him this time to see if they can get a 2. They have a good chance now.
Ça bien être totalement caché, non? Ouais, c'est clair.
A little bit of discussion here.
Yeah, I think that they're afraid that if they draw behind the corner guard and stay, like for example, top 12 foot, if Hasselborg hits the open red rock and rolls behind them, then it would be impossible to get it out.
Yeah.
5.
6-5. 4-5.
4-5.
Working this now really hard. Big finish on it.
I think that rock is pretty well placed. Still allows Hasselborg to make the hit and roll. No chance for a double though.
Really needs to make this one.
Yep. Doesn't seem very satisfied with his shot.
Nope.
Indeed, he rolls on the wrong side, and then finally Team DeCruz have their chance for 2. Probably that's their best end so far. And
I think so. I think so. I don't think really DeCruz did very much wrong there at all. Hasselborg,
Yeah.
a couple of little errors creeping in, and I think he's going to be punished for them
Yeah.
here. So, if DeCruz takes his 2 here, tie the game up at 3-all after 5 ends.
Benoit Schwartz with the capital rock now at this point of the game.
Yes.
Just
Looks
watching
like
it.
he's just a little bit fast, but
Yeah, it's just they seem in control. They don't seem unduly concerned. No, they're happy.
yeah, they're happy.
It's right on the money.
And the crowd happy,
Mm-hmm.
cheering for the local team.
Yep. So 3-all after 5 ends.
And there they're back in the game now, finally.
So, do you think we'll see a change of tactics here, or do you think
Well, they
they'll
have been-
stick with what they've been doing?
Yeah, both teams have been playing quite defensively, but now we're in the 6th end, and I think it's very important maybe I don't know, it would probably be a good thing if for Peter if that end was blanked,
Mm-hmm.
I think, so that they can try and force Hasselborg for 1 and score 2 in the 8th.
Yep. Yeah,
If they can steal though, that would be good.
of course.
Oh, attends, rien. Rien.
Oh. Perfectly played. Short of the rings.
Finally, actually, it's starting more like an aggressive end, so that's good news for us.
Absolutely, yes. Centre guard, corner guard, first 2 stones, both very, very close to the house.
Yeah.
So this could be the make or break end. Yeah. And we have a great word in Scotland when you're talking about putting stones out in front and you get a lot of them. We call it a guddle.
Guddle.
A guddle, yeah, which means a whole lot of stones, so it's just a big mess. The thing is, if you instigate a guddle, you can either win big or lose big. So you pay your money, you take your chance.
Yeah. Always makes interesting ends, though.
Indeed, indeed.
Once again, a draw a little bit imprecise behind the tee line, the back of the rings.
Yeah, so
Not what Peter wanted.
So Hasselborg decides to follow it, but just hopes it'll pull up a little bit shorter.
Toppvikt. Mycket plats. Mycket plats.
Toppvikt.
Kan du ta den? Ja, går den? Går den?
Now
Ja,
3-3 in the 6th end now.
Kommer nu!
Bra linje.
Hasselborg with the last rock.
Ös! Hela vägen!
This is the
Working
final.
hard, working it hard, pulling hard. Weight looks good, line looks good. Oh, really good sweeping. Really good sweeping. Well thrown.
Perfect shot. Perfect shot in the final of this Curling Masters in Champéry in Switzerland. Curling Champions Tour event. Teams playing for points for the ranking. Often those points can count a lot for the Olympic qualification. That's the case in Switzerland, where Team Michel is now leading the rankings, but Team DeCruz is, with that good performance here, is going to come back close behind.
6, plutôt 6.
Yeah. As we're getting closer and closer now to the Olympics, test events next year in Sochi in Russia. World Juniors are there. Also the wheelchairs as well, championships. So it's a big year coming up. Lots of points at stake. People trying to secure their place. And unfortunately, that shot from Hasselborg just comes straight through.
Hasselborg placed twice in a row.
Sorry.
Dominic Marquet just throwing that draw a little bit wide and heavy.
Yeah. Sorry, I said Hasselborg there. I meant DeCruz. Getting you confused. Andreas Pritz sends another one on its way. Want to go behind this yellow guard. Called the sweepers off. Only worried about lots of weight. But it's going to wreck on the guard.
But it's going to raise it in.
So maybe it's a plan B.
Though, yeah.
But not really what he was looking for.
Yeah, well,
but,
difficult situation now, yeah.
I suppose it's better that than through the back.
Yeah, Peter DeCruz having to pay a lot of attention now. Now he's back in the game, not to get a big end scored on him. It happens actually quite often in curling. You know, you see teams scoring like a 2 or 3, and then just behind getting another 3 or a 4 or something scored on them. Yep. Even at that level, it can happen.
For sure, it can. It just only takes really a momentary lapse in concentration, or one missed shot, just to really upset the apple cart, make the best laid plans, you know, come unstuck. But
Plus.
So we have an email from Bob Browning from West Vancouver, I think.
Where are we? West Vancouver, yeah.
So who's enjoying our presentation? He learns each time a little bit and has to comments on the nuances of brushing and trajectory and weight. So yeah, so each time you sweep a rock, well, so can you explain maybe a bit the effect on the ice it has?
Well, the whole idea is to control the rock and where it eventually ends up, you know, so to control its position. The sweeping technique is interesting because there's a correlation between the amount of pressure that you can put on the brush head and the speed of the brush head. The brushes they're using have a very aggressive synthetic covering, and what they actually do when they're moving across the ice is they momentarily warm the ice for a fraction of a second, millisecond, warming the ice, allowing the stone to glide further. And depending on how they work the stone with the sweeping, obviously the further the stone can go, if they keep it running longer, it can bend further. If it's traveling with a little bit of weight, then they're using the sweeping to keep it straight or keep it straighter. But it's an interesting test where they've got brushes now with sensors on them used in training that actually measure a sweeper's performance, and they have this correlation between the speed of the brush head over the ice and the amount of pressure on the brush head. and it's optimizing that will give you the best results for sweeping. But certainly really good sweepers can drag a stone at least 3 meters, you know, if they work very well together. You can complicate things further by using different types of material on the brushes. Some players prefer a hair brush, and others prefer the synthetic pads, and each has a different effect on the ice and therefore on the stone. So.
Yeah, and it's when curling becomes very scientific and technical, because recently there have been the performance pads that have been developed, who are probably now the most efficient, who are used by the Canadians at the Olympics in Vancouver. And now they're sold around the world now, and most teams use these now because they're very, very efficient.
Yeah, well, the thing, nothing ever stands still, because the pads they're talking about on the brushes here are called Equalizer.
Yeah,
EQ.
Equalizer.
However, there's now a new pad on the market called the Norwegian, and that was pioneered largely by Thomas Ulsrud from Norway. And the benefit of the Norwegian pad is it's got the same amount of effect as the Equalizer, but it's not prone to getting wet. It's completely water resistant. So our Equalizer pads, given use in certain conditions, can actually get wet, or the pad gets wet. But the new Norwegian pads are completely water resistant, and therefore their performance is maintained regardless of the conditions. So, but you know, that's today's pad. Tomorrow there'll be something else. It changes all the time.
It's always I always think about the swimmer suits, you know.
Exactly.
Those shark skin suits that were really, really, you know, high technology suits, etc., and who could get the swimmers as fast as they can, as fast as possible. We're now actually forbidden in swimming, but in curling, they've been trying to invent also new equipment to allow a better performance. I think they even invented a pad where there was, I think, a little bit of metal in it that would heat up, and it would keep the pad warm.
Yeah.
But the thing is that with those kinds of pads, the pebble was worn out in one end.
Oh, they
especially with big sweepers.
Yeah, they certainly could be. I mean, the pebble is, as we talked about in an earlier game, is crucial to the running of the curling stone. So if you wear the pebble out and take the pebble off, then you're going to seriously affect the performance of a stone, the speed of the ice, and how much or how little it curls. But certainly some of the pads that are available, the ones that you're talking about with the aluminium behind the pad, which retained the heat, was a kind of double-edged sword, because on one hand the pad was extremely efficient and very good for sweeping. However, the player had to keep the pad warm, because if the pad cooled down, then there would be condensation on the inside of between the metal and the pad. The pad would become wet, and they would try to put it back down on the ice, and it would stick. So they're saying at the moment, with the waterproof qualities of the Norwegian pad, they're removing that issue. Yep. But time will tell. Technology is moving along very, very quickly. There's a lot of money being put into the research and development for the best material that will actually give you the maximum sweeping performance, but not degrade the ice. From an ice making point of view, we are trying to guard against that by using water that's very, very high quality, which is no fluorides or chlorines or any other water in it. It's treated to be absolutely pure as possible, H2O. And the benefits of that is that it freezes very, very quickly. But also, because there's no rubbish in it, no bad materials, it's very, very hard. So you're trying to create the best of both worlds, where you're having water that's very, very hard and resistant to these pads, and then the pad manufacturers trying to make pads that can break down the water. So it's a constant battle. So I hope, Bob, that's hopefully being a little bit helpful or more helpful to you. But
thanks for writing in.
Indeed, your questions appreciated.
And so we're waiting for any more questions or comments. Do not hesitate. Just like Bob. Or Sandy.
Indeed, yeah. Or Caroline, if she's still up.
Yeah, if she's still up. Maybe she decided to take a nap between the games.
But maybe at this point, just where they're discussing angles here, they're looking at a big double, potentially. A hit and roll double. As to mention that the curling stones they're using here were manufactured in Scotland.
Caves of Scotland, right?
Caves of Scotland rocks, yeah. They are Ailsa Craig common green for the main body, and they're running Ailsa Craig blue hone for the insert. And the blue hone insert is the hardest granite available, and almost completely impervious to water and moisture. So therefore provides the most stable performance for a stone.
And yeah, well, curling rock making is also a whole science. And oh my goodness,
that's not.
Oh no,
that's not really what he needed at that point. Sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah, no, curling rock production now is a science. They've got to be made to such fine tolerances so that they are the same, and they are. When the rocks are matched, for example, Caves of Scotland have just produced the rocks that are going to be used in SUI for the test event and for the and for the Olympics, sorry. And these particular rocks are now matched in 4 different ways. They're matched by computer for running band area, stone weight, and running area, running band width, sorry. And furthermore, they are tested on ice for speed and for swing. So when all that data is collected, you end up with curling stones that are very, very closely matched.
Yeah, and for our viewers, if they want to see a little video on how curling stones are made, you can just type on YouTube how curling stones are made in your research and find a little video that shows the process of how a curling stone is made from the beginning when the rock is taken in those islands there near Wales, I think.
No, well, the Ailsa Craig is Scotland. It's a island 16 kilometres off the west coast of Scotland, and all the curling stones that are made for the Olympics are used with Ailsa Craig. These stones here are Ailsa Craig also. The body of the stone is common green, and the insert is blue hone. And presently in the world, and happy to hear if anybody knows differently, but Ailsa Craig is the only known natural supply of blue hone granite, which is used in the running bands of the stone. Other stones that are commonly seen around the world are blue Trevor. They are slightly grey-blue in colour, and that granite is produced in Wales and then shipped to Canada, and they make them into curling stones.
Yes, we actually went to visit when I was in Canada with Team DeCruz. Actually, we went to visit the factory in Canada who was making the curling rocks. It was really interesting to see the making of the rocks, and they talk with the employees who are showing us their techniques of how they rub the rock, etc., make it nice and polish it, or scratch the surface that touches the ice.
Exactly, it's they are craftsmen, you know, and there's probably very few of them in the world. There's the Caves of Scotland in Scotland and the Canada Curling Stone Company in Canada, making the curling stones that you find in most places in the world. And the guys that do this job, the manufacturing process, they are craftsmen. They are highly, highly skilled, and work to very fine tolerances, which is absolutely incredible considering they're dealing with a natural substance. Yeah. So it's just, I take my hat off to them. Yeah. They're amazing.
Check on YouTube how curling stones are made. Just type that, and you'll find a very interesting 5 minutes, 6 minutes video that shows you from the beginning and the end of the process. It's very interesting, and it shows you another very technical aspect of the game, or of how you make the equipment for the game. It's just not rock, it's special rock. Absolutely. It has to be very resistant. It has to be very pure, actually, granite.
Yeah. You don't want any flaws in it, and you don't want it to have any deposits of quartz. If you get quartz in the granite, then it's likely to shatter. Yeah. Yeah, because quartz can be highly polished and look very nice. For curling stones, it's not very good. So Just drifting a little.
It's not such a bad shot from Benoit. He's kind of saving the day there with that shot.
Yeah, because of the angle it's now sitting at, it's almost, I think, almost impossible for Hasselborg to be able to chip that out unless he comes in from the other side as we look at it and tries to force the yellow back onto the red. If he does that,
A risk to be wide and tick his own rock out, though.
that's the problem.
I would just go for the draw if I were him. I think. I don't see any. Or maybe hit his yellow on the right.
Yeah.
That's the other option, but
Yeah, it's a long
bit
way
more
away.
difficult than the draw.
Yeah. But if he pushes the center yellow back,
If he can get a 4 now,
he would get a 4. Game over.
Yeah.
You know,
Måste
so
spela en sån fart att
he's looking at it, now taking a bit of time to discuss it.
Yeah, I think that's a good moment when you want to take a bit of time to discuss. I mean, this is a crucial shot.
Sure.
I mean, if he makes 4, he wins the game for sure. If he makes 2, he takes a very big lead at this point of the game again.
Exactly.
So,
You know, so this is the end of the 6th end, so we've got 2 more ends to go. So it looks like he's electing the draw.
yeah, I
Gonna
think
try and
that's
take 2.
a wise choice, I think.
ser för lite.
He has also a little bit of backing on the red.
And whatever happens here, he's pretty much guaranteed to come out of this with 1.
Yeah.
So he's going to score anyway. So if he can double that to 2, I think he'll be quite happy with this end.
Yep.
But it's been an end with a few errors, uncharacteristic errors. But still, you can see in the background here the trophy sitting on the table. Magnificent trophy, which will be presented to the winners of this competition.
Bra linje.
Lite tuff.
Don't think they'll be taking it home as hand
Ingen
luggage.
rygg, ingen rygg. Det finns ingen rygg.
Ser rätt bra ut.
Det finns ingen
Ha rygg nu!
Sweepers are staying with it,
Ha rygg!
working it.
Inte ryggen. Rent bara.
Seem quite comfortable.
Rent.
Har en rygg.
Still swinging.
Behöver rygg.
He's got a little bit of backing if he comes across enough. But
I think it might just be enough.
yeah, I think so.
Or not.
Little half turn at the very end.
It's 1 for sure.
Yeah, we can
I
zoom in.
have the feeling it's the red from that angle, but
Ja, jag sa ju det.
I think we'll have the
Measure.
umpire appear here.
finally the umpire
Yeah,
will come.
yeah, yeah. Umpire is Eva Roethlisberger.
And now players have to pay a lot of attention not to move any of those rocks. If one rock is moved, the team that moves it loses the point.
Exactly.
So if Hasselborg moves the point, then he scores only 1, and if either player from Team DeCruz touches it, then it's 2 for Hasselborg.
Yeah.
Yeah, players, when they score, always have to agree. Both teams agree how much it is. So often it's not a problem. I mean,
Yes.
usually it's it just
It's only
agree
when you get to
implicitly.
this stage where it's visually impossible to
And
tell.
when teams are not sure, they say, "Oh, I think it's this one, but I'm not sure," so we can measure.
Yes.
Then teams didn't yet give their agreement to the point, so you have to
And
wait.
it's only 1.
And it's only 1.
Yeah, the red stone nominated as the second shot.
Jag uppfattar att den var så hård.
I'd say
So-
quite a bit of luck there for
Tror du
Team
vi hade
DeCruz in the
ryggbock
sense.
bakom
Yeah.
A lot of trouble, especially after Ben was first miss. That he caught up with that beautiful shot,
Yeah.
stopping Hasselborg from scoring more than 2.
Yeah.
Or they could have scored 4 or something. So
Yeah. Well, you wonder now if Hasselborg maybe regret not going for that big shot.
yeah. Well,
Anyway, we'll never know the answer to that. We'll just have to wait and see.
yeah, and anyway, we don't know if he would have succeeded.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. All speculation. So here we go. 7th end. Crucial end for DeCruz.
Yep.
Hasselborg wanting to try hold on to his lead. If DeCruz scores here, Hasselborg wants to limit him to 1 so that he has the hammer in the final end. DeCruz, if he wants to score here, he's going to have to score at least 2.
yeah, 2 would be good for him, I think. Yeah.
Det räcker. Bra med grabbar.
Bra. Bra.
Center guard. And we go for a corner guard again.
Yeah.
So we're going for a good end.
Yeah. Looks like DeCruz wants to score now.
He does.
Is Valentin Tanner, young player. actually 2 players of that team are still in age to play juniors. It's Valentin and Benoit.
Ah,
Still very young. Benoit would be his last junior season, and
Oh.
Valentin would actually still have 1 more, I think.
so he's
Yeah.
2 and.
I think
Okay.
he just turned 20, I think.
Okay,
recently,
so depends on when his birthday is.
yeah. I think he still has 2, including this one.
Okay.
Okej.
Nära!
Ja, gå då Max, järnet.
And that's amazing. Accomplished a lot in such a short time.
Yeah.
Måste för linje också, kom igen.
Rickard! Den är jättekort.
Wow, 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 wow.
Oh, not happy with that.
Lägga ihop dem eller? Visa upp dem drögen.
Just going to bump.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they stopped sweeping it to avoid giving 2 corner guards.
Yeah.
And a lot of imprecisions in this game.
Yeah.
A lot of, I think that players are just really tired now. I think.
Yeah, well, you got to remember
No.
this is the 3rd game
Yeah,
they've played
3rd game.
today. You know, so they'll be running. They played a game at 8 o'clock this morning, at 11 o'clock, and now they've started the final at 2 o'clock. So
It's actually the time for the nap, actually, too.
yeah,
So
siesta.
yeah, siesta, exactly. I know. I realize that each time you make the tournaments. For example, fun tournaments, you go out and party a bit and stuff.
Sure.
And then on the Sunday, sometimes the game in the morning is okay, but it's the game in the afternoon that's always the worst, because you're tired. And
Yeah.
it's in the afternoon you start really feeling the fatigue.
Exactly.
You have in the morning sometimes you just wake up, have a cup of coffee, or you're
I
fresh, go run outside. But after a while, you just
And as well as that, these teams as well, after the game's finished, they have a flight to catch or a drive back to go back to work on Monday morning. So, they got to be pretty tough.
Yeah, those are always those horrible moments. You play those weekends of curlings or even those world competitions and stuff, and you have so much fun and you meet all kinds of cool people that have a good time, and you forget actually about your real life.
Yeah.
Coming back on Monday at work or at school.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's always mentally a very difficult thing to do.
We always we had a saying for that whenever you came back from one of those particular events that on the Monday you always suffered from CB, which stood for curling blues.
Yeah,
I've got the CBs really bad.
You never get used to it actually. I think. Yeah.
But
and it's the case for most sports actually. You always get. I think there's even what the psychologists call the post-Olympic depression.
Yeah.
Like when players
come back off it.
Yeah, come back after 2 amazing weeks, fun and games and focus on nothing else but doing their sport and meeting people.
That's true.
Then they have to come back to work and have a depression.
Yeah, down to earth with a bump.
So, don't wish that to anybody, but I don't know. I kind of live those things.
Yep.
After a world championship, it's very tough.
Yeah. That's nicely done.
Vilken?
Ja. Kom igen nu.
So, all the guards in play being used here. Hasselborg here calling for a hit and roll in behind the cover. Andreas Pritz, the man charged with doing it, from Härnösand, Sweden. Interestingly, they've got a brand new club just about to open in Härnösand.
Whoa!
Are you going to go make ice up there?
You never know, not initially, but you never know. But I was speaking to him this morning, and he was very keen to get back to Härnösand and get the club up and running, because it's been a long time coming for them. So they're very proud of their club, brand new. So we'll see.
Yeah, and that's a really nice hit and roll.
Just executed perfectly.
Perfectly buried where they wanted it. And talking about new rinks, also in Geneva, there's a plan to build a new ice rink in actually a already existing sports complex next to a hockey rink.
Okay.
It would be a 6 sheet of ice and
dedicated to curling.
Dedicated to curling, yeah.
Oh,
so we already have 6 sheets in Geneva, but in an old rink, and now they want to build a brand new one. And in theory, it should be built for next season.
Great.
Or maybe in 2 seasons. It depends.
Just
sometimes construction takes a lot of time in Switzerland.
Sure. Are they going to keep the old rink, or are they going to close the old ones?
Nope. No, they're going to close the old rink and go for the brand new rink.
Okay.
Will actually also be near France, and the objective is to create a French club also in this rink.
Perfect. Perfect.
And knowing that in France they have absolutely no curling rink, it would be a good facility for them to develop curling in the region. So they would build really a nice modern ice rink, and it would be really nice, and maybe the objective on the long term would be to organize some world or European championships, knowing there's the hockey rink nearby.
Yes. Yeah. Well, your requirement for Europeans is really with the A and the B groups.
Yeah,
You're looking
exactly,
at 11 sheets of ice, you know. So
No.
it would be perfect. And of course, Geneva is easy to get to, accessible. The airport's close by, and
middle of Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, all roads lead here.
Yeah, well, it's the Rome of Protestantism, so all the roads lead to Rome.
So all roads lead to the curling rinks of Switzerland.
Yes, sir.
Sandy Morton just sent us an email saying he was going to make a brush with the rotary head and batteries in the handle, but apparently it would be illegal.
Yeah.
I think to call our umpire, actually. I don't even know if it's in rules.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed any mechanical aid.
No, I think that's the thing.
Yeah. So.
Ja. Bara den här lilla vicken
But
då.
I would be certainly interested to see the prototype.
It would be actually fun in the, let's say, bread and cheese tournaments to use those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think it'd be much more fun to get somebody to do the sweeping for you.
Yeah.
Have a stunt double. But a great email, Sandy.
Yeah. We have another email. Sandy also has a really good idea there. Just make a wooden remote controlled stone.
Yeah, well, I can see the interest in that.
I've already thought about having magnets in the rock you can use and
to steer it.
To steer it.
Yeah, and you probably could fit it with a flux capacitor, and then it could travel in time as well.
Yeah. Also,
like a DeLorean.
Or sometimes what you could do is also install a system to turn the house around. So for example, if you've got rocks behind the tee line, you can turn the house around and put them in front of the tee line. That would probably be a cool invention.
Yeah, okay. I think you've had too many E numbers. But thanks, Sandy. You certainly made us smile here, that's for sure. So Peter DeCruz here.
Okay, un poil plus vite.
Playing third stones. Looking at a little hit and roll here. Doesn't get the roll in the right direction.
Yeah, well now I think that DeCruz has to hope that Hasselborg rolls out on this shot.
Yeah.
So they can try and blank the end. That's I think that's the best he can get now. I think probably is the blank.
Yeah, I think he'd be lucky if he gets away with a blank end.
Yeah. Well, on the side of hit and roll out is likely. I mean, so he just has to hope for that.
Nolla!
Rent! Japp! Japp!
Bra fart!
Wow!
Bra fart!
Rent! Bra!
Härligt.
Oh, he hits
Bra
the sticks.
spelat.
No rollout, but a double.
Bra, Marcus.
It's possible.
Yeah, I think they'll probably go for that. I think.
Mm.
Never sure, but
Här
I
då.
probably they'll be looking at it.
They
that's for
certainly
sure.
are. No, certainly looking at it,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
SUI.
he's also looking at a draw.
Yeah. Depends if he rather blank and
I think his hand's being forced a little bit here. Yeah, if he goes for the double and misses, he's going to lose his steal.
no, I think it's his first shot.
Sorry, you're right. It is.
Yeah, otherwise you just draw.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just from my position here, I couldn't see the
Yeah.
other stone sitting, but I can now. See the time clock in the background. He's got 10 minutes to complete this end. And one more.
Yeah, I usually count about 7 minutes per end, so he's
Pretty much.
quite fine actually with the time.
Yeah,
Hasselborg's even better because he's got 13 minutes left,
indeed.
and while having 10 minutes about left in an end is pretty good. Leaves you time to think a bit.
Sure.
Yeah, sometimes you see at the end of games skips rushing to throw their last rock, and that's something you absolutely want to avoid.
Yeah, you do. Just going for the double here.
Yeah.
He's off. 1, 2,
There
oh,
we
well
go.
done. Yeah, great
only-
shot.
The only problem with that shot is that he doesn't stay in the house, and it would have been that okay.
Yeah,
You don't want to ask too much, but if he had stayed, that would have been a massive advantage because
yes.
it would have stopped Hasselborg from just drawing behind the guard, and
Ut alltså.
it would still force maybe Benoit to score only one.
Sure.
As they prefer probably the blank than the one.
Pelling har varit en
I
liten
think so.
kort.
I think so.
The advantage of being one down with the last rock and the last end is that in theory you're sure already to get the extra end.
Yes. But if you get the extra end, you're going into it
Yeah.
without the hammer.
But at
So
least you get yourself you get two chances to
Yeah.
win.
it's always a question. Would you prefer to go into the last end?
Well, that's a philosophical question. I know. I see it coming.
Indeed, indeed. Would you like to go in one up
Snabbt
without
i
or one
framkant.
down with?
Framkant gärna!
Well, we preferred one down with because we usually always won our games one down with.
Okay.
But I think statistically, the team that's one up without wins it more often. I
Okay.
think.
Just getting around this guard. Well swept.
Looks absolutely perfect.
Too high.
Just skinned
Good
by the
shot.
guard perfectly.
Perfectly hidden.
Yeah, that's it. Just one.
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad Benoit didn't manage to stay.
For sure.
Can't blame him for it though. I mean, it's a difficult double.
It was.
He made it already. That was probably the main point. Now he has to draw to tie the game up.
Just full 8 foot.
Yeah.
You always say that every good skip should be able to draw the 4 foot. So
Yeah, that's
it's always easy to say when there's no pressure on.
Yeah, well, we're just talking. I mean, we're not playing. That's the good point.
Well,
You can just criticize.
no, I never criticize.
No, but in theory, this is the must-make shot.
Sure.
In general, it's a very classical skips rock, just drawing for a point.
Yep.
Hard sweeping.
Oh,
See how hard they sweep.
yeah, it's fine.
So, oh my goodness.
By half a stone.
That was really good sweeping, and you can see the difference it can make. I mean, if you have good sweepers that not only sweep well, but know when to sweep the rock.
Yeah.
I mean, they took it right from the beginning. They knew it was slow. They didn't wait half the ice to realize it was slow.
Mm-hmm.
It was I think that was a really nice team teamwork, and
It was actually.
probably even more credit to the sweepers this time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they really gave it.
If we got a replay of that coming in, you would see the sweepers, the two guys with the stone all the way down, and then the vice skip coming out of the head to assist. And the speed of the brush head was just, the brush heads was amazing. So they were working very well as a team together.
When you sweep the whole way, the last sweeping, when the rock passes the hog line, gets into the house, is really tough physically. I mean,
that's right.
Sweeping, actually, I think you sweep around maximum 20, 25 seconds in a row.
Yeah.
And that's actually quite a long time sweeping. I mean,
well, especially if you're doing a shot like that when it's maximum effort the whole way. It's not as if you're keeping it clean and then go a little bit hard at the end. They went hard from the start. So, and of course, as we mentioned earlier on as well, being up a little bit here, 1,000 meters above sea level, that can have a little impact as well.
Yeah, and I can bet that more or less anybody takes a curling brush, and tries to sweep even without moving as hard as they can. Try and hold for a minute. I think that most people will not manage to do that.
No,
I think.
not with any kind of consistency. That's for sure.
If they can really hold very as hard as they can for 1 minute, then that's probably one of the most massive efforts I would have ever seen.
Yeah. So here we go, make or break time, 8th end. The game all square. 4.
And once again,
4.
Peter tied without the last rock, just like in his semi-final.
Exactly.
Will the scenario be the same? Well, hopefully not. I mean, hopefully not that they win on a big miss.
No, it'd be nice for the game to be won with a good shot. Yeah.
Well,
just trying to play the tick on this.
Lite hårdare än så.
Trea.
Nej.
Ooh. Right off it.
Yeah, what you really don't want to hope is a miss, a win on a missed draw.
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, if they give him a very complicated shot to play and he misses, then you say, well, okay, they played better in the end, and he had a very complicated shot, he missed it. But if it's a draw, the forfeit that's missed, it's always it's nearly a bit disappointing to win a game like that sometimes if you're the winning team, even though you're always happy in the end.
Oh, of course,
you win.
But again, we see another example of the free guard zone. That stone was taken out of play by the lead stone, so it is replaced. And once again, the sportsmanship in the game. The stone is replaced with mutual consent of both skips. No referee or umpire involvement, which is really nice to see.
Sometimes if the teams don't agree, then they can ask for the umpire to come up.
They can ask for a second opinion, if you like, or a third opinion. But
I don't think I have seen that happen already in my life, I think. Oh, that's
just biting.
Pretty bad.
I needed that one to be just short.
It's just those little few centimeters too far.
Yeah. Just one sweep. One sweep less and it would have been fine.
I think they just had to sweep it to pass by the first guard. That's why probably
they dragged it a bit.
That's always the problem when you have to sweep for line, but the speed is a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
You can't slow the rock down. That's impossible. Well, you could break the ice, but I think that then you would run after the guy with the stick.
Yeah. I think you might have the umpire running after you as well. Yep,
this is an absolutely perfect shot. When you're one up, when you're tied with the last rock, it's always nice to have maybe one rock hanging like this in the rings.
Yeah.
Because it means that if ever you have a takeout to play on your last rock, you don't even have to focus on staying in the house. You can just need to hit it, remove it out of play, and your other rock touching the rings will score.
Yes. It's always one of these ones that you always ignore because you think, it's just touching the edge, it won't matter. But it's amazing how many times it does count at the end of the day.
So that's why teams always like to have just a rock that hangs somewhere on the side,
Yep.
Because anyway, Team Geneva will be focused on stealing, and it's either win or lose.
Yes.
So they don't really care if they score 4 or 5.
Nope.
It's a team that scores that wins.
Okay, here we go, peeling guards.
Yeah, and it's really too bad that this second shot from Valentin ended up in the house, because The Swedes wouldn't have been allowed to remove it, and
Nope.
if they had missed their take shot, then Dominic could have had to draw just in the behind the guards instead of having to replace the guard.
Exactly, exactly.
And Peter deciding not to replace the guard, but just to go directly behind.
Okay.
And Dominic's second shot. I wonder if maybe it's a little bit too early for that.
Yeah.
Just replacing a guard.
I think maybe replacing the guard might have been my option in this one.
Yeah, the only risk by replacing the guard is if you offer a nice double.
Well, true.
The problem with that guard, I think, is probably just a bit too much in the middle of the guard zone. And if you place a guard, there's many chances that you put it close. And if you leave the double, then you've got just no guards left. At least if they make the peel, then you have your rock in the house that you can keep guarding.
That's true.
Probably maybe that if that rock had been a bit closer or further from the house, then maybe they would have played another guard. But it's a debate in the end. I mean, it depends
that's
really
true.
on preferences. I think both shots are right.
Yeah, I think as you rightly say, it depends on how comfortable you are with each option. But,
Kanske aldrig får dubbelläget igen visserligen.
So yeah, Hasselborg in a reasonably good situation. Well, they can either pick the guard or the rock in the house. I think on that one I would have picked the guard maybe this time. Rock is behind T-line.
I wonder if he's playing option plan B, you know.
I wonder if he really wants to stay. Probably not.
No.
Just the peel.
Yeah, seem quite happy with that.
Yep.
So,
Second try.
Yeah, come round again. Berry. Giving around 5 feet of ice for this. The brush is where the guy that's throwing the stone is aiming at. And where he touched his brush in the center is where he's hoping it will land. So he's looking for it behind that center red guard.
Peter's first rock in this final end of this curling masters in Champéry, Switzerland. Curling Champions Tour event. And I'm Roger Golka commenting with Mark Callan. Got it right?
Yep.
Yes.
You did. This is a little heavy.
Oh, and again.
The line was good, just the weight was heavy.
I don't want to say, but this is quite a catastrophe at that point of the game.
Yep.
Because now he just has to peel the guard, and
he's already got one counting.
yeah, and he's already got. And you can see Benoit not very happy. Oh. No rocks in play now.
Yeah, the removal men have been in. We have an empty house.
Hasselborg in probably the best situation he can be in. He's actually maybe a little happy even to remove that rock in the rings because it can be used as a guard even, just to bother.
Yeah.
Never know.
High enough up that even if he got half round it, still could prove difficult.
And Peter just has to play a guard now.
Which he does. Nice centre guard. But, Hasselborg wastes no time in putting his broom right down beside it, indicating that he wants it removed.
I think there's no other right call. It's either the peel or nothing.
Oh, that's
I was
not
not
good.
looking at the screen, but the players, seeing how the skip was reacting and how they put Peter back in the game. Well, in the end, I would say.
Yeah, we scratch your back, you scratch our back.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's a miss after a miss, nearly, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. It's Maybe a slight sigh of relief there from Peter. He's pointing with his brush. Wants the stone to sit there.
Yeah, both teams having really a lot of trouble just putting the pressure on the other team at the right moment when they really have to.
Yeah, the door is open, but neither team is closing it at the moment.
Well, that miss at least makes the end still a bit more exciting. Puts back a bit of suspense.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So this one absolutely has to be around the guard.
Yeah, absolutely has to be in the forefoot, at the top of the forefoot if possible. They're calling it more a little bit behind T-line than now T-line more. Question their line now. They're calling it top 4. Top 4 T-line.
Nice.
Seems like it just died a bit at the end because they were calling it back 4. Finally ended up top 8.
So guard got to go again.
I'm actually surprised he's not picking the other curl. Because if he blows it by with the other curl, at least he gets the rock behind.
Yeah.
But anyway, he didn't take the possibility of blowing it back behind.
Yeah.
By. The rock behind, so.
Yeah.
Good peel. Now where are they going to place their other rock?
C'est ce qu'il veut faire. Ouais, mais direct, il fait le double.
You can try and push that rock at the back.
Ouais, mais je sais pas pour lui les deux. Lui, il préfère les take-out.
Tense moment in the game now.
Bah la même.
Before Benoit throws his last rock.
I think he wants to come around it here.
Yeah.
Ah, mais tu joues la même, c'est bon.
Yeah. Sit
Valentin
back there.
telling him he just has to throw the same weight than before and they can sweep it.
Yeah.
Sept. La vitesse, 7-8. 7-8.
It's a little bit fast. Call it T-line, but it looks a little bit fast.
Right back.
Has to hang in.
No.
Oh.
So.
Swede's just deciding to draw, no takeout. Maybe that's because the rock is just in the rings. Once again, he didn't manage to put the pressure at the right moment.
No, make or break stuff again. So Hasselborg has a draw for the game. So it's the last stone. Just keeping it clean. Sweeper's just watching it.
Look pretty confident, but
yeah,
maybe it's also a little bit fast. I don't know. No. I think it looks pretty good.
Looks quite good. Just right off. Right off. Yeah, he's got it.
They nearly cheered too early, though.
But he got it.
Sweden beat Switzerland again in this final. Already in Basel, we saw a Swedish team beat a Swiss team.
Yeah.
Team Siegfriedsen with Maria Pritz, who's probably Andreas Pritz's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is.
So the Pritz always beating the Swiss.
There wasn't much in it that time.
Yeah.
But so So still not a bad record for DeCruz. Twice this championship has been held here in Champéry. Twice in the final. He wins one, lose one. So
Yeah, well, it happens.
it does. But an interesting game. A couple of errors on both sides. But I suppose that's curling.
Yeah, well, you can't win them all.
Oh, that's true.
Anyway, after I think Peter, who was injured very recently, helping that lady move her car,
Yes, indeed.
breaking his toe.
Yeah,
He was out of competition for 1 month, and for his first tournament back into competition, I think they can still be very proud of themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't play the best final they could, I think, but I think on both teams probably were very tired, and there were lots of gifts, I think, and lots of misses after misses, but in the end, the Swedish team, who actually was the first to score the two, managed to pull it out of the fire by keeping the last rocks in the even ends.
Yes, they did.
And using that last rock finally in the last end.
To advantage, or
Yeah,
to their
advantage finally, after
Yes.
the two semi-finals where they didn't manage to use the last rock advantage. And anyway,
So, well, another successful tour event in Champéry. Fantastic organisation, lots of help. I hope, from my point of view, we've managed to provide the teams with consistent and keen ice. That's led to some pretty good games, and look forward to be back again next year. Some nice words there from Marcus Hasselborg, complimenting the town on their organisation.
yeah. Well, anyway, I think that we're going to leave you people today for this championship, and I suppose that you'll be following us in the next championships that we'll broadcast on Laola TV. I think it's going to be the Wetsikon Masters for women. Anyway, it was a pleasure to be here to comment on Laola TV for the Champéry Masters of Curling. This is a Curling Champions Tour event in Switzerland, and I'm Roger Gulka. I was commenting with Mark Callum. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
And I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. And I wish you a nice Sunday, and good night.